Okay, so council is resuming. The adjournment has finished. We are still on notice of motion 4/3/2019 Franklin Street proceeds. Councillor Whipper has the floor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I congratulate Councillor Turlin for bringing this forward. I think we all want to make sure that we get some value for the community out of the sale of the Franklin Street property. This will need to go to Finance Committee anyway, we know that. No decisions are made without going through the Finance Committee, but I think it's probably a good idea to have a bit of a flag a few items. I was invited by Councillor Nelson to throw a couple at him, so I'll throw a couple. So I'd like to see up there the animal shelter, because it has been, you know, I mean, it's like the never-ending story. We all know and agree that we need to upgrade that facility. It needs to be a standalone facility for the safety, the health and safety of the staff, but also for the animals in that facility. I think they, you know, we have adopted a low euthanasia policy. We need to give them quality of life while those animals are in our care. So I'd like to see the animal shelter up there. And also I'm aware that the Southern Highlands Association for Women are collecting money with the aim to provide a women's house, or not a refuge, but a place where women can go for support, escape from domestic violence, and for other services as well. So that's one I'd like to throw in there as well. I think that these things are important to do. So if nothing else, then to get them listed there, I'd ask the mover if I could put in there that council consider utilising some of the funding from the sale of Franklin Street on the animal shelter, the relocation of the animal shelter, and approaching the Southern Highlands Association for Women in relation to any projects they might have that could be, you know, that they could get value from some injection of funds from this as well. So maybe we need to just change that that council, Councillor Turlin, I'm suggesting we maybe change that first point, that council
Consider,
yeah,
and then
utilising
consider on point
funds
3.
from the Franklin Street sale. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's going to go to the budget session in February.
We know that, but I think we need, you know, and, you know, Councillor Nelson might invite others to throw a couple at him. And we can do that. But I think, look, I applaud, because one thing we want to see, we've sold an asset in an area, and it would be good to see that asset go to back to the community for value. So I think, yeah, I think there really is some. So thank you, Councillor Turlin. Thank you.
Well, with the greatest respect, we've spent $6 million in Mittagong on a swimming pool. Councillor Mark Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I stand firmly next to Councillor Nelson on this. This is crazy stuff. We all could list 3 or 4 projects that are pet projects, and as far as I'm concerned, number 1 would be climate change. We're going to sit around this table in a short period of time, a few months, and I reckon most of us will support doing something about climate change. What's more important, climate change, or, I'm not sure, 3 pet projects from each council? That's very good, actually.
Yes, yeah, I like that, yeah.
But it's a bit of a hairy project to look at in detail. But all I'm saying is, it's crazy us coming up with a list of 3 things each. I mean, we'll come up with a list this long. We have that list. We have a funded list. We have an unfunded list of projects. Let's go through the process. Let's follow the process. Let's not get all excited because we reckon we've got some money in our back pocket. When we have a windfall and, I don't know, win $100 in a lottery or something or other, okay, we can go out and spend it. But this isn't our money. This is community money, and we have to prioritise, seriously look at these things. This is crazy stuff. So I certainly won't be supporting. unless you include climate change for 90% of it.
If you put in there, councillor Turlin, as a suggested, point 5, the councillor considers, the councillor has a briefing session to consider the above suggested projects and others that may be discussed.
Fine.
With respect, Mr Mayor, that's the draft budget discussion.
I know it's the draft budget discussion, but this is where, and I think though, I think it would probably be good to have this before the draft budget. So, because this could take you an hour or so, and
We're going to have a much longer list than this.
okay.
And we'll bring that to you.
So you're happy with that? You'll get councillors' support across the board. You won't get criticised, and councils pulling together. Councillor Scandra.
Mr Mayor, could I just ask, seeing we're talking about Franklin Street, when are we going to release the sale price and the conditions of sale now that that property has been exchanged?
That's a point, and I
Mr.
don't
Paul?
know whether it's commercial in confidence and
No,
whether it
it's
ever
not.
will be.
No.
Mr Paul,
Mr Meeting might make
Mr Mooney.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Yes, we are going, go.
Everyone's got to turn off, I think.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're currently in the process of updating our contracts register. That should be up online, available for the public to view by, when are we, Wednesday, by the end of the week.
Thank you, Mr Meany. I think it's a matter of immediate release because it was a substantial...
It will be, you've heard, it will be up there. And just to let the community know, and I should have said before, this is the last meeting you will have in this chamber probably until about May of next year.
Yeah.
A bit longer than that, Mr Paul is mumbling.
I've never met in a pub as a councillor.
Thank you.
Anyway, my point on Councillor Turlin's motion is, look, there's some very good projects out there. I want to toss, obviously, a performing arts complex on the table, and that's a long-range project. It will need strategy, site acquisition, developing it and then going out for grants and so on. So there's a number of things out there. So, Councillor, I think it's a good idea, but I actually would like to invest a couple of hours in this to work our way through it, because otherwise we all got our pet lists. But I do want to say Performing Arts Centre, because that is now on the table with the Playhouse being down, and it's going to be down for quite a while.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm delighted now that the way that the motion is worded, and I support it, and I would have supported it anyway, and I understand where it has to go before anything can happen, but it's more than reasonable within the spirit of the motion. All those underneath, and there's probably another 20 that are worthy, but it's more than within the spirit, and I believe it's worthy that we should, when it becomes to be discussed, that the sale was in Mittagong, and we've got a building there that could end up with a fence around it for the next 2 years. Surely, number one up there is worthy of a major consideration when we come, in regard to renovating or repairing the building. That's what Councillor Turner was about initially, and he's just added to it. So I think it's worthwhile, and it's a good motion the way it is now.
Thank you, Councillor Halstead. Councillors.
This is the democratic process going on. Quite frank, I'm very happy to see these sorts of things coming from the likes of Turland, Councillor Turland, because he thinks about things before he does it. And quite frank, I don't have a list of 3 or 4. I don't care who else has got them. But this is normal process, as far as I'm concerned. So why would you be trying to stop a councillor that's got a good idea there, even with the 3 he had, and like Councillor Andrews, I'd have supported that, because 2 of them are considered, well, one's consider, the other ones do not. Well, we don't need any comment or facial expressions from you, Councillor Nelson, through you, Mr Mayor. I get this all the time from this joker over here. Seriously.
Come on.
Councillor, every councillor here is entitled to put up a notice of motion or a notice of question. Sorry, question with notice. And we've been forced into that, you know that. So I heard you earlier on going on about the number of notice of motions. That's because the government's forced that. And this is one of the outcomes of it. Very good idea. I like it even better now, but I would have supported it as it was. And Councillor Turland should still keep doing these notice of motions if he feels so strongly about it.
Thank you. Point taken. I have my view. Everybody else has theirs, and that's a democratic process. But I think I'm going to support something the Councillor Whipper said, and that's about the animal shelter. I'll be pushing fairly strongly for this. But I make the point that every time we have this, and this is why we have briefing sessions, and where we discuss things amongst councillors, so when we come out, the level of expectation that it is given when this goes public, right? This is a public motion now, and all these things go to the public, and the people who are looking at them say, we might have a chance of getting that, rah, rah, rah. So until we go through it, sometimes it's not good to go out and advertise, ideas, because some people might get disappointed. And 5.2 million, it ain't a lot. It sounds a lot, but we know we're about
You just let it out.
It'll be,
well, there you go. It's going to be up on the web page, and it's out. So you've heard it straight from the horse's mouth as public knowledge. Thank you. You couldn't believe your luck then, Councillor Turles.
I know.
Talking about a roundabout.
Yep. Okay. So, but thank you, Mr. Mooney, for putting that forward. That'll be up on Friday.
He's 2 days early.
I'm 2 days early. I've beaten your computer.
This one thing we need to
So it's not a huge amount of money. So these projects, look, it's chewed it all up, and we're looking for more money now. Councillor Turland.
One of the things that needs to be known is the Historical Society, not the Heritage Society. I apologise for that. No, I didn't pick that up. So it's the, yeah, trying to build them a purpose building so that the playhouse can actually extend back into that. That's been the controversy between the parties. So that's one of the things. Look, even if we just spend the money to get plans done and budget so we can go for government grants, that's probably, look, the animal shelter is going to take a while. Allocate a spot, do a plan, ready to go. That's $500,000 to that bit by itself. This is where we need to spend the money. And I'll go back a little bit further. This whole thing driven to sell Franklin Street was to fund a car park in Barrel for Station Street. Exactly. Now, that is off the table now. That is off the table.
That's not right.
No, it wasn't. It's going to put money into the pool. You and I drove that.
That I'm going on what I...
Okay, Councillor Turland has the floor.
Thank you very much. And then, because of the movement of Sydney Trains, that has not got where we've got now. But we've gone down the path of tendering and selling Franklin Street. I'm clear in my memory about that, and I'm sure others will have the same thought. So even if we use the majority of this money preparing plans, getting budgets, finding the spot, ready to go, at least the new council then can implement if the grants come through. But no more procrastination, no more spending this money on other facilities that shouldn't be spent. We need to get the biggest bang for our buck out of this this particular site. And you all know what I wanted to do is go for low cost women challenge Southern Highlands, Harbours and
Texting
Harbours.
in the meeting is really not appropriate, Councillor Scandal.
I had to...
No, you didn't have to do anything. Councillor
Anyway,
Turland.
you all know where I was coming from before, and a few guys, that councillors are on that path. But we went down the path of getting this out to tender was clearly to fund a car park in Barrel. That's what I understood. And now I don't want it anywhere near it. It needs to be done so we get best service for the dollars that we've got for it.
Well, the only thing to clarify, Councillor Turland, it was one of the options that the monies could be used for. And Councillor Scandal is right. I mean, I've been advocating for the sale of this for 13 years. Councillor Scandal has been advocating, and you as well, in relation to pay down the loan of the Moss Vale swimming pool, and to clarify that monies was then used to purchase Wattle Street and to extend the Barrel Cemetery. And that's why I think it should be asset for asset, so we have something tangible.
Just to confirm, you were correct, definitely correct in the process of all that land we sold to date. 3.6 million, I think, by memory, might be more than that. We've still got some money in the kitty. And the motion was to put it to the pay down of the pool. But then we found these other projects to put that money in, and I was told, well, wait a minute, how do we have a motion and we can just change it? And I was told, we can change whatever we want.
That's
Well,
right.
Why did we have a motion on foot to put the money there and then move it to these
Because-
other projects?
Until somebody changes it?
Yeah, that's right.
it.
So why do we have why do we bother? Why do we bother when you keep changing it on foot?
I suppose you're right. Okay, put the recommendation, all in favour. Can we have a show of hands on this? All in favour? Okay, not quite unanimous, but you got it through. Okay, against?
Yeah, I'm against it.
Okay, councillors Nelson and... Carried. 18.3, notice of motion. 18.2, a council strategic planning day, Peppers Craigieburn, sorry. Councillor Turland.
As the motion says, the written motion, that's what I want. There's a briefing on how we spent public money on the 11th of the 6th of the 11th this year. It's public money. Tell them what we did, what we came up with. They've got a folder at home this thick from previous years that were presented to us.
Okay, hang on, there is, no, Councillor Turland, there is nothing, no, you can't get up and speak without putting there's something there.
Seconder on the screen.
Yeah, there's a motion.
Oh, there it is, right, okay. Well, I didn't see it go up on the screen. Thank you.
Let's do it. What are we scared of?
Did,
The date information is way out of date.
Can I ask a question?
yes,
On this? Sorry, I'd just like to understand what a report is. Is it a single page thing, a 50-page document, or just get some feel for what we're talking about here? How much
Well,
work
look-
we go into it?
look, I tell you what, I'll support this because the bottom line is where the sticking point's been. And that is confidential information. That the report is not to include any confidential information, that's fine. Now, before, there was confidential information that was part of the request. So there's no dramas with this now, none at all. Oh, well, it might be
It was a PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint presentation. So it'll be simple, it'll be, yeah, no dramas. I don't see any need for any report. Any debate. I really don't.
No, just a little bit. And the reason is because this is the third time I put this up. And it was simple.
The same.
It's,
Not
no,
the same motion.
it's a
Councillor.
simple motion. And I was told it wasn't in the contract. Well, come here, this is public money. Why don't we want to show what we actually did on the day? I wasn't complaining about it. I thought there was some great information provided by the staff and the other areas right through, but shot down in flames because, it's not in my contract.
No, no, excuse me. Councillor Markwort, then I'm going to put
Yeah, just a quick point. I'm still confused about a report or a copy of the presentation. Copy of the presentation.
Well, to me,
It's easy.
it's going to be a summarisation of what was said,
Okay.
because there was some reports were verbal.
I mean, some of these are reports. It's not going to be
Yeah,
one of these
yeah,
things.
I mean,
is it?
somebody came in and made a report to council in relation to the Mittagong Playhouse.
Yep.
Well, he did that. I don't know whether he would want his report put out publicly. So it's going to be
I just
a
don't want-
simple
I don't want anyone to be disappointed when it's delivered. I don't want council to come around and say,
Well-
this isn't what I expected. I'm just trying to get a handle on that. What are you expecting?
Might too,
I'm
Bob.
going to simply,
No.
Councillor Scandrick, the GM wishes to make a comment.
The most valuable information that was provided in relation to the Mittagong Playhouse was the verbal report presented by the structural engineer, which cannot be repeated. It's just not there. there was confidential information on Station Street, and there was no information, no PowerPoints. There was presentations given by council staff in the afternoon relating to matters that are actually part of my performance agreement with the council, which is a completely confidential agreement, and those reports will not be provided. So there'll be very minimal information. And in fact, most of it will be out of date, because we'll be bringing information back on the Mittagong pool is open. The Playhouse, we're waiting. I don't know whether we've got the structural engineer's report, but if we have, and the recommendation.
Getting done shortly.
And then we will do the costing, and we'll come back to the council with options in terms of how we go about it and how we fund it. And that'll be part of the 2020-21 budget considerations. So, if you want, councillors, I will produce, but it'll be a very short report.
I'm just running through you, Mr Mayor.
Sorry.
Councillor Scandrett.
Yeah, thanks. Mr Mayor, there was a PowerPoint. It formed part of it. There's a whiteboard with the engineer's drawings.
No, that wasn't, unless you
No, the staff did actually, and then they cleaned it off. No, I saw it going that. But thank you, Madam
Thank
PM,
you,
for your
thank you,
curt
Councillor
response.
Scandrett.
But my question here in this is, we had a timeline which formed part of the PowerPoint slide on the Playhouse. That's one of the things that both Councillor Turlin and I sought to get with our various motions, which mine says Playhouse. Secondly, I don't know what could be confidential in the engineer's report when it's a public asset, and we were told since then the engineer has lodged a formal report. That was on the Thursday, the 24th of October, and now there's a much bigger one coming in. I get that, Mr Paul, because he's been up in the roof and all that. So these are the elements that I'm looking for. I don't know if Councillor Turlin was anywhere outside of the Playhouse, but I thought it was about the Playhouse, wasn't it? Mostly?
Oh, yeah, one of them was about the place.
Yeah, well, you need to
Anyway,
just tighten that down.
Councillor Howard.
I'd expect a two-page report, because report. What?
Yeah, just turn your light on, that was all.
Oh, it was delayed action. You never touched it, did you? No, I knew I'd touched it. It took a while to come on. Oh, is that what it was? Oh, over there. Right. I'd expect something like that. If I was that consultant, there's no way knowing I'd give it to you, Scandrett, or anyone else on this council.
Councillor
Scandrett.
Scandrett.
No way knowing I'd give that to this council or anyone else that was sitting there based on a look in the roof until such time as they'd made the decision on it. And therefore, what Barry just said now is right. He's getting a report if he hasn't got it, and I forget which it was. But
councillors,
when we get it, that's when it will probably become a public document once it's been before council. But other than that, what went on that day, as far as I'm concerned, you should have took notes. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything from a PowerPoint on that day.
okay, thank you. I'm going to put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. We move to the last motion, notice of motion for the year. Now Councillor Turlin. Now you can read the you can read what council staff have said. I would say the suggestion would be that it be noted.
Well, I'll tell you what, have you ever tried to find on the internet the complaints form? I did, took me hours.
Yeah, well, don't make excuses for yourself.
Wow, very clever, very clever. I'll give you the task as the mayor to try and find it.
I'll take
And you
as
take
long
longer
as
to
you.
And the thing is, this particular document, I don't think's ever been passed out to anybody. If, for instance, 2 weeks ago we were talking about a place at Balmoral, they've got 14 days' notice to provide a 6 weeks document. They never had the opportunity for that. I had to get involved, get him to see you, then the other staff, and resolve the issue, and they got 6 to 8 weeks because they weren't being listened to. I got a pile this thick. We've got fences now being an issue which has cost us lots of money. We've got, I mean, I could go blue in the face with dozens of these particular issues. Trees. Look at Mary Street and the pain that's gone there. It's communication. I mean, if you look at customer service, I mean, it says here, I love this, I love this. Provide an excellent customer service. Well, I don't think so, otherwise we wouldn't get phone calls. Look at the sign.
That's not fair. That's
Well, it
not
says we
fair.
have an excellent,
No.
people can't even
that
find
is-
this. They
That,
can't find it.
Councillor Turland, is what council strives to provide. It's not. It is
Well, it's
an
not
aim
working.
and as same as you when you advertised your business, you strove to build a very good house. Sometimes it may not have worked out as good as you like.
Mine always worked out quite well. A customer service charter. Carefully listen to what people have to say to ensure they determine the most appropriate and way to address the request.
Point of order, sorry. Do we have a seconder on something?
Well, there's nothing.
Well,
So the count. Oh, here we are.
It is there.
It's up there. There's a recommendation. So, Councillor Turland, you.
Thank you.
Oh, jeez. You could have been bar humbug.
Now listen, this was the same motion I put up 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and again it was shot down in flames. I didn't
Not the
get.
same motion.
Don't interrupt.
In the intent of the same motion was there, and on the Thursday I get a letter back saying, no, it's not allowed because it missed the words. The words were that we employed the general manager, and the general manager employs the staff, therefore she does have no...
No, Councillor
That was the statement.
Turland,
It was on the
Councillor
tape.
Turland, you're going okay, but to say that, it is up to the councillor to present the motion that is legal. And if you're unsure if it's legal, you approach staff. But if you put in a notice of motion and don't say anything, why should staff have to contact you? What's the obligation? You don't have to be... The staff say, well, that's what he's asking. It's obviously illegal, but he wants to ask
No,
it.
it's not illegal. 7 years later, moving one word out.
Yes.
One word. That's it.
Wording, as I say all the time, the wording of a motion is so important.
After 8 years, nearly 8 years here, it seems to be a problem now. When other people were there, the duty of care and courtesy came back to us to alter a few words to make them happen, but not one day before the council meeting or the council documents go out. That didn't give me any time at all to change one word. Anyway, I won't go there. The issue is other councils have an ombudsman. They can deal with these issues with the public. We can then, as councillors, can say, well, there's the independent... I brought this up a few times. Independent person stands alone from the issues between the applicant and council staff and come up with a decision that hopefully doesn't take us down the path of spending a lot of public money.
Can I ask a question, Mr Mayor?
A clarification,
Clarification.
yeah.
I'm just trying to. Are we talking
Councillor,
Oh, so, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm just clarification. Are we talking about employing someone, or are we talking about an independent person outside of council? What are we actually? What the options are? Is that what we're talking about? An internal council ombudsman. So that's an employee that sits within council.
It might be free of charge, and the next judge or lawyer or whatever wants to sit here for half a day or a month and listen to people booked in.
So a pro bono approach is what you.
Yeah, it doesn't have to cost money. If it works, well, then you go down the next path. But other councils have these.
Well, I'd like to hear more about other councils.
Well, that's what the report will bring.
That's what it says. They go out and research.
So other councils do this, you're telling us?
Even on parking lots.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just sigh at these sort of requests. Yeah, ombudsmen do have a role, I suppose, or possible role, but they come at a cost. And also, there's no such thing as a real independent person as such. They all have their different biases, different points of view and what have you. And I detect this is a little bit of, I have to say, getting at council in some regards. I mean, I would hate to open the door and say everyone with a complaint, lodge a complaint against council. Because many people who don't like the decisions, they go on and on and on and on. Despite being given a ruling and the logic behind it, they tend to continue. We have to get on with business, and I just see this as being rather retrospective. I don't see, in accordance with the community consultation reports that we've got last week or so, I don't see the problems that big. To hire someone to manage them, I just think it's overkill.
No.
No, you right of reply, councillor Turlin.
Thank you. Hopewood. Took 12 months for the Ombudsman to write to council to ask for a response to a decision of the people that were affected. This is bringing that back into a short period of time. They had a problem. It had to be resolved. A letter had to come from the Ombudsman to say, deal with it. Answer the question. I could go on with more and more. We know the Highlands. And it just gets on. I mean, the opportunity is to test it, see if it works. We can't have the judge, the jury and the executioner on one side. And we found that out today in relation to a fence issue. A fence issue. We shouldn't have been involved in it. And it's cost us, the community, and the council money. Maybe that person could have resolved that issue quickly by bringing both parties together, saying, I'm independent. That's just one. I mean, we go for dozens. Trees that want to remove. Remember the $50 that an old lady wanted to get her $50 back? And she couldn't get it back through the system. It just went on forever until I offered, I would give you the $50 and I'll buy the debt and then I will chase it. That's what I offered her. That shouldn't have happened. They are ratepayers. How do we bring that to a point that solves the issues quickly? To me, it's easy. To me, it's easy. $50. Michael Highland, Hopewood. The resolution there was, we didn't listen to you, it's all been approved, bad luck, you have to live with it. That's not a resolution. That's not representing the whole community. And maybe a better solution could have been done in relation to Hopewood, for both. The owners of the property and the Highlands should back onto it. I mean, I could go for dozens. Mary Street trees, branches falling down all over their properties. I mean, still not removed. You've all got them, you've all heard them. You've all got ones that are issues that
Councillor,
could be
through
totally
the
resolved.
chair.
Yeah, no, I'll sit down now. Time to go.
Okay. I put the recommendation that we council do this. I put it. All in favour, please say aye. Councillors McLaughlin, Halstead, Whipper, Scandrett and Turlin. I declare those against. I declare it carried. Look, I don't know why you want to carry on, councillors, for this length of time. We are now looking for an extension because we were run over time. We started at 2 o'clock. We're now at 6:30. So I'll be looking for an extension until 7:15. Move councillor Halstead, seconded councillor McLaughlin. Put it. All in favour. Those against. I'll now ask somebody, do we go into closed? Move councillor Andrews, seconded councillor Nelson. All in favour. Those against, carried. We're dealing with item number...
It's the supplementary report.
Oh, we got a supplementary.